Doran has been in monstrous form.
Yeah, and if you're talking about the start of the LCK season, I think even then you're saying Doran is probably favored, but we like to include LCK Cup around here. You know, we're all about inclusivity.
That's when DK
of the LCK Cup.
I love sample sizes out
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they actually looked kind of okay. I would include Kesper Cup as well, if it actually helped my point, but instead that was won by Bro. And here we are in the draft, ladies and gentlemen, as Aurora and the Azir have been taken away, as Yunara on blue side, question mark.
Might not want to be locked into a Yunara first pick, which would then probably be answered by like Wukong Annie. You know, that's kind of what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
And then maybe if they slap a Rakan on top of there as well, your life becomes very, very difficult. Zinza will be another pick that I'm looking toward with great interest, as both Lucid as well as Owner have been heavily trying to showcase their skill on the pick. In T1's case, I think it also will allow them to be a lot more liberal with the rest of the comp that they have. I think for DK, they kind of do want to play, based on what we saw before, towards Lucid and Showmaker again. So we'll see if the drafts reflect that. That, to me, is
Rumble.
Very quizzical ban, not because the Rumble, which I think B1 Rumble is perfectly fine, but more so because Shield on the Ornn has just not been great.
Yeah, I think actually you kind of wanted to play that.
Yeah, that one to me is a little...
Yeah, DK get themselves another ban, I guess. But this should be a Rumble ban, I think, with what T1 are looking for. The question is then, what gets left open? And Pantheon is going to be the answer to that one. As there it is, the Rumble is going to be taken away. All for the bans, acronym-wise.
Could have a
Ayo, that's
Pantheon,
awesome.
and then what usually we've seen either Trundle, but we've also seen a good amount of the Jarvan. I don't like the Jarvan lock in this early, because it gives the opportunity to like slam Lucian Braum, for example, on the next rotation.
Oh, they're slamming Ryze Jarvan fast. Well, not very fast, but it's happening.
Talia's open as well.
Oh, that's a good point. Talia could be a good one. Orianna has also been one that Showmaker especially has been gravitating towards.
I think Ori Jarvan makes sense. I actually like Trundle here. I think a Trundle into Pantheon specifically is good. But Ori Trundle isn't quite as strong. I think Jarvan Ori makes complete sense. And also gives a little bit more space to Barrel. I think we've seen Lucid slowly get better at being the main initiator for his team, as Barrel has been leaning towards things like the Karma.
Yep.
Or like the Braum, which also doesn't really fulfill the role of main initiator. As, yeah, DK going to take their time, but I think this 1-2 should not come as a surprise. And then we'll see what Faker wants to play into. It's just
Galio.
Yeah, we just take the hit in the laning phase, are not too bothered.
God.
And area Nico is open.
Aha.
Get locked in here.
Well, this is a bit of a good luck Dplus type situation that they find themselves in. We'll see what they do decide to lock away for this final pick. Whether there is do you lock Karma now just to try and stay alive in the lane? It has been something that they've used against the Nico in the past.
You're gonna get like Gwen here? Ambessa?
You could I think Ambessa does make a fair bit of sense.
Ambessa really does make the draft, I think, very solid there for DK. When you look at it in isolation, I think as you highlight, the real issue is, will you get out of the laning phase without being 3k gold behind against Galio, Pantheon, and Keria on Nico? I'm inclined to say no, but I do like what DK have now. You have two great ball delivery systems, really reliable ways to get onto the enemy backline as well. And we'll see what they're going to do. It looks like they're going to protect Shiyu mostly, which given the performance of Doran does make sense. And they're not too bothered about what Guma will be locking in here, as there is a Barrel Karma ban, which I think is warranted.
No, it makes a lot of sense, but it's just weird. I don't know.
It is. Yeah, that it is.
So let's see what this final ban is going to be. I expect it to remain towards the top side of the map, and something like a Jax is kind of standing out to me just because Doran has been so good at the champion.
Oh, Jarvan, Ambessa, yeah, feels good.
Doesn't feel like a bad option, even against the Clockwork Wind-Up Chronicler, as the Corki will be the ban away here on Dplus' side instead. Instead aiming towards probably the strongest 2v2 lane that we have seen in the Corki Nico.
Yeah, it does make me wonder whether aiming is going to slam Bard, or not Bard, Jhin Bard.
Yeah.
Because I do think that a Bard pickup actually does help out DK in the long run, because obviously that frees up a ban for the rest of the series, because you can't let Keria have
Honestly,
Bard.
the denial is almost worth it. Sivir is going to be banned away. Of course, T1, they can't play it because there's Jarvan on the other side, so banning it here does make a lot of sense.
What else would you go here? I'm trying to think. Karma, I think, would have been high on the list, but obviously with the Karma ban, that's not really a possibility anymore.
Yeah. I'm a little bit intrigued.
Baron will have something prepped here. Or is it just going to be like, I don't know, Rakan, something of the sort. Rel was another.
Well,
but there it is, yeah. I'm wondering if they have something prepped for aiming here that they're not willing to reveal until the end. I think Barrel's Bard has been the topic of many a conversation. I don't think that he's necessarily great at the champion, but he does have impact.
He is a very Bard. He's a Bard player. He's a very Bard player.
Yeah, this to me really is the epitome of, well, that frees up a ban and we don't have to worry about it.
I mean, honestly, Jhin Bard feels pretty good to take away from T1.
Yeah.
Jhin is Gumyushi's most played champion so far this season, as the Aatrox is going to be the choice here by Doran into Xiu. And we actually saw Xiu on the other side of this matchup against Morgan, I believe, get that solo kill towards the top side of the map. Looked pretty fun for the Aatrox up there. We'll see whether Doran can do the same thing. As Keria, one final lock-in here for Gumyushi, and it will be the Jhin pick away on the bottom side of the map to force aiming to probably play Ezreal or Varus.
I was going to say Varus, yeah.
I would not like this. I didn't like the Varus last time around, and I don't think I'd like it again here, because he'll probably play Lethality, and it just doesn't hit the same as it used to.
As Bard, you would just be playing for the safety of the Ezreal.
Kai'Sa would be a very different thing.
I think it actually makes sense if you, again, can get through laning phase. I think this is a lot safer. So I do think that aiming is a very good Kai'Sa. It also would work really well with the top half of the map. But the biggest issue is that with Bard, you obviously always want to try and be out of lane. Going to be hard against Jhin and Nico, obviously. But in an ideal world, Bard gets to just roam around, have impact, play his minigame. And Kai'Sa alone in a side lane against Pantheon, Galio, Jhin, and Nico is just going to chain die.
Yeah,
there's just no way around it. Ezreal both has more safety built into the kit and has more access to save wave clear, so it's a lot easier for him to consistently keep waves thinned out, as opposed to Kai'Sa that has wave clear, but it's basically melee. So I think that this makes sense for DK. Good amount of pickaways. I think the draft, if you look at it in isolation, for DK actually works out well. The problem obviously arises with the expectation that T1 is going to have Prio on top side. They want to Prio on mid, but it won't matter because it's Galio. And then they have what is the strongest side lane impact jungler on the patch. So it's a... And then we haven't even talked about the fact that Guma's on his best champion. And Keria's on Nico!
Yeah, there are a lot of reasons to be a little bit worried for DK in this one, unless you're only focusing on what they have. I also think that Galio is a massive deal because it just feels like DK are not very stable even in the middle of a team fight, and that can really cause some disruptions. But we will not count chickens before they have metaphorically hatched. Instead, let's just jump onto the rift.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift, as Xiu is already in a large amount of, well, I mean, he's Ambessa, so he's not in a massive amount of trouble, but he was surrounded by bad guys, and that doesn't feel all that fun.
It did look scary. I was scared.
Yeah, I was a bit frightened. And then I remembered that this is not a champion that was designed prior to 2018.
Okay, but it's also Aatrox level 1 with a no dash and an insanely long Q cooldown. Or no, it was the Galio actually. But Galio nor Pantheon, who I think really want to go their CC.
Yeah.
So he was fine. He just walked it off. And it would be very funny to me. I was kind of expecting, you know, the classic DK game 1. It's cool. They somehow win and then they get swiftly 3-0'd. Don't think that seems very likely. Surely.
Oh, sharing some pixels there.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to be confused about that.
They knew, yeah. Not going to be any surprise here, as both of these bot lanes obviously going to try and fight for the level 2. And we'll have to see. Beryl picking Keria's skin is very cute.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, Beryl
doesn't play his own skins, by the way.
No, he doesn't. But he has his favorite skin of every champion, and he doesn't deviate. He's definitely a man who commits, you know. And so Carrier's skin, just getting the nod from Beryl. As Faker taking a fair bit of punishment here in this lane. This is to be expected. It's kind of what we see in the Galio-Orianna matchup most of the time.
Yep.
See whether he can get most of these minions, as he does miss one there on our screen, as Doran finding a good trade onto Xiu.
Yeah, Galio's good matchups aren't really ever about him being able to do well in the laning phase, right? It's really about everything that comes afterwards and how quickly he doesn't just get bullied around. As we can see here, Faker expected to take a bit of a beating here. I do want to give some credit as that is, yeah, that's very similar to what Xiu did to Morgan, as Doran showcasing it here as well.
Yeah.
But what I want to highlight is that Showmaker was actually, on that Orianna, I think, one of the big reasons why DK were able to win. Was it game 1 against Nongshim?
Yep.
Which was a game that was...
His like bruiser Orianna that just would never die.
Which I'm sure he's going to go for here as well. And I think in this case it's warranted. You have so much damage on your composition with the rest of your top side. If it was a tank top, I'd feel a little bit worried, but it's not. It's Mbessa. This is the bigger problem, though, as something that we did expect, is that outside of mid, which doesn't really matter, when it comes to having prio there, we're seeing that there is basically no prio for DK.
Yep.
And again, this is to be expected, but it does make the game pretty hard to play, as it looks like Faker is going to have to take his first back. And I think it's really, once you get your Spectre Scowl, you're going to be feeling a lot better. It looks like instead he just picked up a Dark Seal and some boots, made his way back to the lane, as Owner will get spotted here.
Some aggressive positioning by the Pantheon as they are all walking past this turret. So despite the fact that Owner isn't going to be able to get a successful gank off, this will still be about a wave that aiming is going to miss out on, and that bottom lane continues to bleed. You can see already to the tune of about 300 gold, and that's getting close to, you know, first blood levels deficit.
It's so telling as well, like how willing T1 is to play towards spots. Look at the vision that's there. Like, there is no gank angle here for Lucid whatsoever, unless he wanted to go and flip on the lane gank, but obviously doesn't want to do that. There are, between the two wards as well as the Scuttle, basically no angles for a bot lane gank. I also see some pings going down towards the Krug, so I think that they are aware of his pathing and what his timers are, which makes sense given the invade.
Yep.
But for me, it's really going to be about the skirmishes. As DK, I think, funnily enough, is a team that often, I think, plays these compositions that look for these early pickoffs on rotations. This time around, that's definitely going to be T1, as the lane swap has come through, and it looks like Xiu might just be stuck in the 1v2, but given that the top lane matchup also isn't super fun, I don't know if he's going to be too bothered.
Yeah, we got some pings out onto exactly where Lucid is as well, so T1 being able to track the Jarvan pretty decently, as Beryl can try to magically journey away, but that's not before losing the majority of his health bar to an Aatrox.
That's Beryl Bard right there.
Yeah.
Miss everything. Don't get them. Don't hit.
It was odd because like that magical journey was never gonna work.
But
you know.
Guess what? Now he's got the cooldowns of Doran, and now they get Drake. The T1 swapped away. They're playing for grubs, which makes sense given that they have a ton of side lane pressure. So I think that them prioritizing the grubs makes a ton of sense. As Xiu taking a good amount of damage here, really wants to get experience of this wave, but Owner's close to 6, Faker is already 6, so he needs to be very careful. They also know that there's no jungler towards the top half of the map, and he could dive here.
Yep, Faker already moving in. Let's see whether they just set it up. That is going to be the snare missing, as Gumayusi takes a turret shot, but I think they've got a fair bit of time to make this one work. Beryl finally getting himself here, but the taunt is going to come down. Faker going to get stunned up as the heal comes through from Beryl. Faker cannot actually get his hands onto Xiu, so he does have to ult his way out. And now it's Beryl that finds himself in an uncomfortable position. Another wave comes in, a magical journey through the turret, and first blood over to Gumayusi as, yeah, the support traded his fate for that of his top laner.
Could have been worse for DK, but the play for T1 is so successful, right? When you look at what you get out of it, you deny a good amount of CS. Beryl ends up going down, uses his sums as well. This was a pretty costly investment in sums, and Showmaker was able to crash a wave in mid, but because the kill going over to T1, they're still going to be happy with that play kill going over to Guma as well.
Yep.
I think is a big deal as we take another look. If Xiu would have been 6, This was so close to backfiring here. As actually really well done by Beryl, right? Gets the heal off, make sure that he gets the stun, but Shiu doesn't have the CDR yet, and the biggest difference here is obviously that T1 knows there is no Jarvan. Jarvan took the Drake towards the bot side of the map, and these type of 4-man commitments from T1 should then come as no surprise. As all is said and done, gold lead not too big, and the Drake did go over to DK, so I imagine there was a good amount of waves that were caught.
Yeah.
Kind of offset, and now as the rest of the waves are pushed out, I think T1 is going to remain at this like 500-600 gold lead. As Shiu did live, and also TP back, so didn't miss out on too much, but you can see that Doran did not get bullied.
No.
And is just kind of chilling, and about half a level up, as well as the CS lead that was there earlier for Shiu, now fully gone.
Exactly. Shiu does get experience for the cannon, but is unfortunately unable to walk up and take that one down, as Lucid does pull the grubs out. The rest of DK are roaming over, and as of course, Remeka does have control.
That's pretty big. If they can get Shiu here as well. The problem is that Doran has TP, and Eaming obviously does not. So I don't know if DK really want a hard committer, and it looks like they also think better of it.
Yeah, Faker is going to be moving over here as True Shot Barrage is looking to be a little bit tricky, but it's not quite going to work out. That is going to be Ona taking down the third grub. So that is all of them over to T1. Will get themselves a portion of that feat of strength as well. It's not like we've seen the game break open with that top dive or anything like that, but DK haven't really been able to find anything as a response outside of taking away Ona's jungle just a little bit.
Actually, I was wondering whether they were going to go for something there, but I didn't know where the Pantheon was. So if Ona is still waiting and try to go, if they go again.
Full journey, yeah, Keria having to flash as he is still very, very squishy.
Doesn't have 6. So some summoners gained there with only the investment of Beryl. I think Shiu, while we were panned away towards the Raptors, must have used his ult.
Yeah.
Guma there, but Guma did kind of just shrug it off. And then, so maybe it was on Keria? Not sure, maybe that was what started off that play.
It's a little bit like a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the time
figure it out.
Quite work out.
Seems like it was a while back.
Maybe it's a good one for Knives Out 4.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the script has already been written for the third one, so...
Well, no, that one's coming out soon, so it could be that. Unless...
Exactly. Maybe that is like the biggest twist. You know, they were just predicting the outcome of this particular game in the LCK playoffs of 2025 in the new Knives Out movie. That would be insanity. You can imagine as well that they will be watching along with all of us, hoping that it does indeed go the way that they expected it to go.
Of course.
As with unanimous predictions, I think they'd be in a pretty good position.
I think they're pretty safe, yeah.
Unless they predicted DK. Maybe they only watched like a few games in LCK Cup.
They would never Atlas.
Imagine
There's
that.
no way. As right now, nothing too much of note happening. Do note again the amount of coverage that is there with wards towards the Guma and Keria lane as they want to play for relentless aggression. We do now have the top laners reunited, but Doran feeling a good amount better.
Yeah.
As, even though Shiu didn't die, obviously still had to give up a good amount of his wave, as Lucid will get spotted, and there are both Owner and Faker with ults, and I think that DK also know you can't really gank unless you know both are on the opposite side of the map. But with the rollout now done, we'll see if DK actually is going to commit to a 5v5, because I think that's where their composition should shine. As long as they can deal with Keria's pop loss and the initial burst that will come through on T1 side.
Yeah, I also think that the Galio is going to be a problem if they do decide to start something without adequate information. And Dplus have been a team that have kind of started stuff without adequate information quite a lot, especially in recent memory. So see whether they've tidied that one up. Of course, Bengi was saying that there have been some strides taken as far as the practice is concerned for this series.
Ooh, look at the Faker is going for his full AP Galio build.
Oh, I like that.
Which I think there are games where you have to. I don't think this is one of those. You do have a lot of damage, but will make the itemization on DK's side a lot harder. And will also give a lot of lethality to this team.
He likes forfeiting 50% of his health bar. That's kind of his thing.
Is Shiu going to TP in?
We'll see. He is
Walking.
wandering down, but heading towards the top side for the moment. We'll see whether he does just get there and put the pressure on where he can. As we can see, Doran also doing the same thing.
So T1's comp wants to just burst someone as quick as possible so Doran can get his resets. And they can also do a lot of burst and back off and play with Guma. Using that Gino, something that they are very, very good at. Looks like DK, though, not just going to give up, even with the poke on barrel.
Yeah, Showmaker as well has just been slowly but surely farming things up and has a slight level advantage as well, as Shiu going to be able to break the chains that bind, having a nice trade here against Doran towards the top side.
Ooh, Eclipse done now for Shiu, so he is way stronger than he was before. Can't wait to see how this matchup is going to continue, both between these players as well as between these two champs as we get deeper into the series. As obviously, both of them have ways to cancel TPs as well. A lot easier for Doran as T1 started up, and it looks like DK says, nope, this isn't the one either. And they have an early Drake, so they can afford to. But it does mean that I think they don't really get anything in return either. Because there wasn't really too much of a shove in mid. I don't think they got any plates, so it might just be Dragon for Scuttle.
Well, there have been worse trades. It's been Dragon for lose a team fight as
What about
well.
Dragon for
that
Nexus?
One.
That's a classic.
That's a classic. That one's pretty good though for the ones that get the Nexus. That's my assessment of that whole situation. Shiu now finds himself laning against Faker. Not going to be as worried about the magic shield, but Faker doesn't seem too worried either, as he gets a decent little taunt off. Of course, Shiu just has shields forever, and so it is hard to get some damage that sticks onto this Ambessa.
Shield Woo?
What?
Because it's Shiu, and he has a lot of shields.
Ah, Shield Woo.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the item, like the shield bow, and I'm like, wow, his Dutch accent's crazy today.
Well, I mean, we can. If I feel like we haven't reached that. Although it is 14 minutes in, I was promised carnage.
Yeah, there is...
What is this?
This is not what we wanted, Dplus. We didn't want you to stop playing the game.
No.
We just wanted you to stop doing
I'm not mad
silly
at
things.
Dplus. Where is the circus?
Yeah, that's true. The circus is definitely not in right now. I mean, T1 have an excuse, right? Because they weren't in the play-ins. So they need to get themselves back in gear. They're not warmed up, you know? Like, you got to shake your sillies out first. That's what play school taught me.
The sillies out?
Yeah. Shake your sillies out. If you're an Australian kid in the 90s, then you'd know exactly what I'm talking about, which is a low percentage.
That seems like a pretty specific reference.
Yeah. I think I'll take the round window out of here.
I do appreciate you enlightening us.
Thank you.
Nice.
It's just a kid show, and that's a song in it. That's all it is.
No, I got that.
If you're feeling silly, if you're feeling weird, you shake it out. Kind of like the Taylor Swift song.
Yeah, I got that from context.
Yeah.
Not the Taylor Swift part, the other part.
Yeah.
All right, maybe for Herald we'll get a fight.
Ooh, be careful what you wish for,
So
Chronicler.
for T1, again, I think that they are looking to sync up, get a ton of burst as...
Shiu looking for a little bit of an angle here.
He also has, I actually really like the Executioner's buy into T1.
Yep. You can see double Sundered Sky. Can't be a bad idea. All right, Feral going to magically journey a very small distance away. Deadly Flourish is going to be able to follow up on Lucid, but he's already out of danger.
Bro might not be in the playoffs, but we are brewing here, Atlas.
We are definitely brewing. This is like DRX Broverse levels of craziness, except the commentators, because it's playoffs, are actually talking about the game.
Yeah, we need to.
It feels a bit weird.
I know.
But it is probably the correct thing to do.
I give it 5 more minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are on a timer, okay?
Come on, teams.
Heads in the game.
So it's understandable as well, because I think for T1, as much as I think their composition still has elements that will do well no matter what part of the game we get into, because of how strong their ability to impact sides is, and also because, let's be real, ending games for DK has been a nightmare. But I think that if the gold lead, which has remained the same, stays this way, I really like DK's ults in actual 5v5s. If they can avoid a member getting bursted from 100 to 0 and Doran starts off on the resets, if they can keep control of the vision, I think their setup towards taking down any member of T1 is actually amazing. And they have these big teamfight tools, right, with the Jarvan as well as the Orianna. Execution obviously will have to be on point, which I think for DK in particular remains a thing to be seen.
Yeah, that's a lot of question marks, I imagine,
Yes,
as far as that is concerned. 300 gold, though, is nothing, especially at 17 minutes into this game. So no one really with any big advantage. And the thing that I am also like cautiously optimistic about, I guess, for DK is their 2-item spikes are kind of obscene.
They are really good.
When they do manage to get there.
Are we starting it for real? Actually, for real this time?
For real, for real? Or just regular for real?
Okay,
We'll
Doran's
see.
walking over.
Yeah, there's a teleport for Shiu as well. As we have got vision on this. Carrier looking a little worse for wear, as aiming as well, taking a bit of damage. The flash taunt to come through as Showmaker flashes away from the Galio. Beryl gonna magically journey his way up and then comes back again. Kind of wishes that they were a two-way street, but unfortunately it's one way.
And now DK wants to start it up, even because they invested a teleport, but they can't. Well, they can, but they don't really want to. So T1's just gonna get bases in. They get the teleport.
Yep.
So I guess it's just a win. Also, Faker trading his flash for Showmakers, I think, is worth it because it makes Carrier's life a lot harder. And I guess it's slightly more risky for Faker because he's going for a more damage-focused build, right?
Yeah, so if he does go in, maybe he's more killable.
Yeah, well, also, I think with normal Galio, there is just no question of will he live if he gets focused with no flash. I do think that is a little bit easier with this build.
But this, I don't know whether DK should really be giving up Drakes for free, as you can see Beryl comes over and gets some vision down himself. But they are stretched pretty thin when it comes to where they're looking for control, right? T1 were moving towards the Herald area, and so they get a lot of vision down there. Now, with the focus more being on the Drake, it's a bit of a difficulty.
You might see a trade because their vision control is better in top side, but as I say that, there's no prio in mid because obviously Guma has prio there. And also, aiming can't ever walk up to the wave because there is 2 semi-globals waiting to be used. The moment that he steps too far forward. So in conclusion, what does all of this mean? Nothing too much. Shiu might be in trouble here. We'll have to see. Doesn't have a lot of energy.
Yeah, as he does avoid the Tangle Bobs. And the Blooming Burst also going to miss. Some fancy footwork there from the Ambassador to keep him well and truly out of danger. And in fact, still with a little bit of a health advantage. But T1 have started this one off again, and aiming is here in this mid lane. What did he do?
He actually hit a good amount of damage on the Guma. But Guma then took the honey fruit, so he's fine again.
Oh, we are backing away again.
Yeah, it was very cool because we were really starved for action. So I was like, Atlas, something, and then it didn't even matter. And then by the time I mentioned it, it's irrelevant.
Well, now you got Showmaker coming down to pick up this wave because his turret is looking a little worse for wear. As we crest the 20-minute mark, 2-item spike comes in for aiming.
Okay, so Showmaker now doesn't have TP. Faker's Galio, so maybe we're trading.
It looks like we might be trading.
Okay, I think just Lucid, though, doesn't do this fast enough.
They also might just take Otacon as well.
I mean, I guess they could.
There is an Ambassador up there, so like if they do just overload on top of Shiu, though, then there's
Barrel's in the area.
They can take something down.
So I think that makes it. So I guess we just trade.
It is just a trade. Okay. There has been a kill in this game, as far as the action is concerned.
Atlas, you know how this feels when you buy something and you see all the disclaimers. And you're like, I'm not gonna read those. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
You know, and in this case, you thought you were buying a cool action movie.
Yeah,
and then the disclaimer said this is not actually a cool action movie.
No, it's kind of like you get a new character in your gacha game, and you can't actually level it up yet because you haven't been to the new area, and so you've got the cool character, but you're like, well, this doesn't do anything.
Atlas, is this about your own experience?
This morning, yes.
Oh, I don't see how this relates to the game.
No.
We did say they got.
I know there's at least one person,
Atlas, and those have passed.
There's one person that knows what I'm talking about. Okay, although he's not listening to the broadcast because he's playing the game.
Oh, you're talking about Beryl.
Yeah.
So it is relevant.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything that I say is relevant. Obviously, I'm a professional chronicler.
So is this just going to be based on track record? We're going to get one team fight. T1 will fight for 0, and then that'll be the end of the game.
Yes.
We'll be very
oh wow. Yep.
Very, very unhappy with everything.
Indeed. Unless you're a T1 fan, in which case, clean textbook League of Legends.
No, even then you're like, what?
I paid for the circus.
Where was my adrenaline?
Well, I mean, Shiu is actually getting to a point where he's starting to do stuff, doesn't he?
Oh, he's dangerous.
I've got confirmation from Emily Rand, by the way, that she knows exactly what I was talking about. As aiming now going to get caught out of position. The flash not going to quite work out, but the Tempered Fate, it certainly gets some work done. As now aiming just gets sniped off. Sometimes you need your teammate to protect you, but Lucid was just getting out of there, and so aiming now lying on the floor. And DK looking like they've had a bit of a jump scare. There is a fair bit of damage going on to this outer turret in the bottom lane. And now Gumayusi forced to flash out of the Cataclysm. But the Otacon is being taken, and T1, I don't know whether there's going to be a way to stop them.
I actually thought that DK could have contested there, but they're going to go for the first turret instead. Just willing to give up the Otacon, not really raiding it, I guess. And they do lose out on a lot of damage with their AD carry not there, but with Shiyu, I think it's looking at the itemization, Shiyu and Lucid both have just shy of a 2-item spike. As we take another look here, aiming just a second too late, gets tagged, and then despite the attempted save from Barrow, which actually does get carry off his back, yeah, there isn't really an angle. I think Lucid also looks kind of like a traitor, but made the right call.
Yeah, no, I agree.
With Doran already on top of them, and I forgot, was it Faker coming in or Owner? I don't know. Someone was coming in from the back. I think it was Faker, I want to say.
Yeah,
someone was there, and it was not going to end up well. Really, what ends up, outside of Otacon obviously being a big deal, which gives T1 sizable leads in Flowers, I do want to highlight, Guma's flash being down is actually, feels like it wasn't necessary because the play had already kind of ended, right? And Guma ended up still being caught there by Lucid. As
we're going to start this fight. True Shot Barrage does come on down as Gumayusi will get knocked up. No flash, no chance. He's out of there. The Cosmic Binding also is guaranteed when he's inside a rocky circle. And so that's aiming, getting his revenge pretty swiftly here as Gumayusi lies down.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about it that much because our expectation was that this game was going to be blown open in laning phase. But playing Jhin into Jarvan and Bessa, guess what? It's not fun if you don't have flash.
Well, public execution is in goes Shiyu, but I don't know whether that was a good idea. Still, it works as they focus down the turret, and Shiyu's like, well, I'm out of here. My work is done. As Magical Journey is set up for aiming, but he's unable to take it because he just stays a little too long. Technically, I guess it is a 2-for-1, but Doran looking for an angle here and decides that he doesn't want to do it. Still, they should be able to answer this outer turret, and ultimately, it's going to be a pretty even trade unless Shelly gets some extra work done. If she gets a bit of a headache, then gets driven towards the bottom side, and that should be 2 turrets.
I think the previous kill onto aiming, given the amount of resources that were used, that one, I felt like, obviously it's rough as
oh no!
Still gets the turret, it's fine.
Sometimes the turning circle just ain't as good as the one you got at home,
The previous death was excusable. This one really isn't. You're playing Ezreal. You cannot die like that. Because this play starts off wonderful, right? Really nice catch there from Barrel. Lucid follows up. The team is ready. Kill goes over the aiming as well, by the way. They get the mid lane turret. This would have been a just purely positive, as really nice catch there from Shiyu onto Keria. Just leave.
Yeah, I guess
just leave.
I guess he just felt, maybe he didn't see that his jungler and top laner were already like 2 screens away. That was a bit silly.
That was silly, yeah. And the reason why is because I think it is actually a big deal because it allowed T1 to get the mid lane turret, get a big counterpunch, and we'll see if it ends up mattering for the contest. I think that DK, though, if they can keep this team fighting up, is actually in a really good spot now, though, especially if they get this soul point. Because again, I think their 5v5 is incredibly strong.
Yeah, it certainly is. They are able to get the soul point. That is a big deal as Cloud Soul, as we know, one of the greatest in the game. Thanks to T1, of course, for being the team that gets the most Cloud Souls, continuing to be a fact here. But what's also continuing to be a fact is that it's like after Baron has spawned and we have no one with any concrete lead. It's been T1 with a bit of an advantage and the tempo vibes, but not much more.
So actually, I wanted to inquire. You think T1 still has the tempo vibe?
Yeah, they've got the tempo vibes.
Okay.
DK has potential for tempo vibes, but not the actual tempo vibes.
Got you.
You know?
They need another win fight.
They absolutely do.
Vibe.
And in fact, DK almost never has tempo vibes.
Okay.
That's why you feel anxious all the time. when you are watching them with any
you're
sort
saying
of
Beryl
willingness
doesn't
for
have-
them to win.
So you're saying Beryl doesn't answer to the concept of tempo?
No, he does not. He will not conform to
that
the
makes
tempo
sense.
vibes. It's just not really his thing.
With that, DK still get their soul, which obviously they're gonna, or a soul point rather, which obviously they're gonna be happy about. I also think that as far as comps go, this one for T1 isn't necessarily the most amazing when it comes to bursting Baron. There are definitely setups that do it a lot faster. I think both Galio, Aatrox, Jhin, none of these really make you super excited when it comes to taking an objective quickly. We might see that trade come down the line. T1 do have, again, great setup of the vision surrounding his top half of the map, so I imagine that they're also themselves are going to be looking to just pull the classic T1 Baron, but like 3 item spikes are being hit.
Yeah.
Shiyu, I imagine, is going to go for Death Stance next, which is actually going to go insanely hard into the T1 composition, because they didn't build up an early to mid-game lead, which means that the burst that they have access to still is good, but it's not where I thought it was going to be at this point in time. That means that if Shiyu is able to just get into the backline and Beyblade around without so much as a worry, it's actually going to be a big problem, because it's going to mean that T1 won't have the damage to get through some of these beefier targets. Even Showmaker, right?
Yeah.
Is actually someone that I think is hard to take down. Aiming with the Shojin, also now done. Now IE is also there for Guma. We do see T1 again, I think, kind of building up that conditioning. So that is the real carrier.
Yeah, Treasure Barrage comes in. Taunt not going to quite find Beryl as Faker takes the magical journey, but immediately then gets stunned up. The exhaust is down on this Galio as Lucid wanting to Cataclysm over the wall, and he is going to successfully do so. Rock and a hard place, certainly, where Faker was there, and he falls. DK taking that as an opportunity to head towards this Baron, and this could be a huge gold swing if they're able to make this one work.
All right, we have a TP, and I think another person flanking here for T1. That's Carrier behind them.
Yep, is this just Faker baiting? That's the question as Omna dives in, but the Tempered Fate is going to be there. Pop Blossom doesn't quite work as they take down Carrier to start this one off. Still Shiyu, still alive, and Gumayushi. It is the steal on the Baron though as Omna locks that one down, but it is Baron for Ace here on the side of DK, and maybe they'd still take it unless Doran is going to survive. This is a bit of a weird fight that's kind of prolonging things and ruining my rhythm, but that is absolutely fine. There is the ace. DK take them all down, so the Baron means nothing, and the game is still even.
There's the mayhem, Atlas! It took
Why
a
does
while,
it mean nothing, Chronicle? It's so silly!
but we got it. I am now fully locked in to this game, as just a really big mistake from Faker ends up way overextending, and DK is ready for it, actually, of all the members there, so he ends up going down. And then it is this multi-man approach here with Owner on one side, T1 on the other, Carrier getting a nice
Just
type
barely missed the timing, I'm pretty sure.
actually, yeah, but they still have the damage with Doran and Owner there. Shiyu also went for the ultimate, which meant that he wasn't going to be able to get knocked up regardless. I'm actually not sure what happened to Lucid there, whether he was... Because obviously...
I mean, he can buffer a whole bunch of stuff because you're Jarvan as well, so it's a bit confusing.
Well, yeah, but only if you have your flag
That's
already
true.
out, right?
That's
so a little silly there, but all said and done, let's take a look at the summoners. So we have Flash used for Doran, Faker, and Carrier. Guma does have his, which is big. And on the other end, for DK, it's Shiyu, aiming, which I think aren't nearly as valuable. So DK should actually be feeling relatively confident going into this fight.
And this is for Soul as well.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of extra movement speed, and Ambessa in a side lane with Cloud Soul, that sounds very difficult to deal with just because you're never really feeling under threat, even when it is a Pantheon composition. Grand Starfall now back off cooldown though for Ona, and Tempered Fate not going to be able to catch out Faker there as he's like, wow, that's my team's icon. What's going on? It's a little bit strange. As
Still
DK
doesn't want
do get
any of
control of the river.
Now, with DK having control, their poke obviously quite strong. We do have Doran on a flank angle, will be found out. Oh, he's very deep!
He certainly is. Let's see whether he's going to try and make this one work as the heroic entrance does come in from Faker. Doran buying a lot of space as there's a fight on the top side as well. Aiming does try and get himself away, but it's Ona that locks down the double.
Shiyu?
And Shiyu is now trying to do what he can. Finally deals with this Aatrox, but these health bars are going down lower and lower still. There is no answer for this Ambessa, who gets on top of Gumayushi and crushes him. It's another ace for DK.
And at first, it seems like the script holds strong. T1, oh, someone looks overextended. The Avengers are there.
We've seen this so many times, though, from T1. It's like a team thinks that they've caught Doran.
That's what I'm saying.
And they never have.
That's the script. But DK are able to turn it around. So at first, they know the ultimate is coming, but it's the double that's the problem. And aiming with this position gets engaged on. Immediately ends up going down, as does Barrow, but I want you to look at Shiu here. Gets the buffer there, which is what allows him to get the kill onto Doran. And then again, as we were saying, this Mbessa, he is level 18!
Yeah.
Healing up a Storm. Showmaker, by the way, barely took any damage.
He basically 1v2.5'd.
Yes.
That whole time.
Yes.
All right, Mbessa's pretty strong. This was a test also that Shiu has been failing most of the time this year, right? We mentioned it already, like very early on. We were like, oh yeah, no, Shiu's great, and Doran isn't necessarily, you know, meshing with the team yet. Doran is meshing with the team. He's been fantastic. He was third in my MVP vote in the LCK Awards. This guy has been absolutely incredible.
Atlas, it's time. Where are the vibes?
Oh, I'm don't tempt me, Frodo. I will not allow this to happen.
I'm just trying to find out. I'm not the expert.
Nope. I mean, I know where they are. I'm not willing to enunciate because I will not be called a curse person. As okay.
That's fine. It's not that bad.
I know you wouldn't do it, but this is being broadcast out to at least dozens of people. Is going to be Winds of Ward.
Perfect KD, by the way. Has the death cap now, so
looking pretty good.
From this position, I think the biggest enemy for DK is just something they've really struggled with, which is their own consistency.
Ampid Fate going to connect onto only Doran is now Lucid, just puts them in the circle. Pop Blossom there to answer, but it's Carrier that goes down first, and now they're just falling one after the other. Gets the gigantic shield, and that is looking like release Ambassador to me, as this guy is straight back to LCK Cup form.
And game one, DK strikes again, Atlas!
I guess, you know, the 3-1 predictors for T1, this is exactly the timeline that they were expecting, right?
I even said it at the top of the day!
Yep.
Oh, what if?
Yeah, no.
What if, Atlas?
And it's not even a what if for game one, because now the script states it's a 3-zip for T1. We just skipped the first one, but still a phenomenal start here for DK, and it's the stability in where they played. It's the fact that they held off